Theme song, theme song, theme song. Please work, please work. Why is it not working? It says going live. Are we going live?
I'm so excited! I'm so excited!
Zach. And then we're going to go into, here we go. This is our first, here we go. We're doing it a little better this time. Let's get pumped up here.
I've confused my priorities. Isn't it supposed to come to me? Yes, this is how it's meant to be. Every little thing flashing on a screen.
Maybe a little extended edition. Thanks to Agent Convenience. Parasity Fire.
My daddy worked hard for this.
There we go. We are live.
His daddy worked hard for
See, look at this. Look at a little bit of improvement. A little bit of improvement there.
Wow, that was
Fair City Fire.
that was really loud in my ears.
It was?
I couldn't
Good,
even hear a
good.
single thing you were saying.
Great.
Perfect.
But yeah, thanks to Fair City Fire. The band's not around anymore, but that was like one of the only times we hung out together was watching Fair City Fire. Some of my friends that were in a band, good tunes. They blessed our pod with that song. So thanks to them.
Yeah, thanks guys.
You can still
Appreciate
check
it.
them out on Spotify.
Absolutely. Definitely check them out.
I think it's still okay. Like even if a band breaks up, you can still listen to their stuff. Like it was great.
Yeah, it's a weird experience. It's definitely something I come across a lot is finding out about bands long after they have broken up.
Yeah.
But I will tell you there is a bit of pleasure with that in the idea that you know what to like it's done, you have their product. So like sometimes it's like 2 or 3 albums, you're like I can digest 2 or 3 albums, and I know that there's not anything else coming out. So like you can go in and you can determine flat out if you can call yourself a fan of that band or not.
Yeah.
So
check out Fair City Fire or Brian Wolf, Derek Cruzy, Brett Winning, Joe Valdez. So that's my way of saying thanks to those fellas for the tunage. I'm Matt.
I am Jeff.
Yeah, so maybe I'll do a better job of introducing. This is episode 3. If you're just tuning in now, if you skip the first 2, if you're doing like a Star Wars thing, Jeff and I were friends many years ago from middle school, and we're trying to reconnect. Trying through a podcast. Again, yeah. We have a staunch record of not communicating between episodes.
Right.
We've maintained that.
We use the term trying very loosely. This is the most effort we've put in. By episode 3, we have now put in more effort with 2 episodes and officially creating a 3rd episode of this podcast, more effort than we had been putting in the previous 15 years.
I was going to say, even like talking to somebody once a week is probably more than a lot of friendships out there in the world, right? Considering families and kids and
life. Like for anyone that's ever moved around or anything like that, I don't know what the standard is. We definitely weren't meeting it, but whatever the standard is, I'm sure it's not that much. I don't know how to make myself feel better about any friendships that I have, but yeah, less is more. That's a thing. That's a thing people say.
I want to start off talking fashion immediately.
Absolutely.
First, because I'm wearing. Hey guys, this is a great rec to watch on Spotify. You can watch the video or on YouTube. I'm wearing a hat.
Good. Yeah.
I'm just having a good time with it too. Just having a good time. I got a haircut today, and I wouldn't say it's a bad haircut or that I'm ashamed of my hair. I just feel like I'm more of like. After the haircut, I need like 3 days for it to like work,
fall into place,
like to set in, like it's almost too short in weird spots. And like after a few days, it'll flower again. And I'm just kind of embarrassed about it a little bit. Like I would go to work, but I didn't want to mess with it, And now it brings me to you of the shaved head. I think I'm going to be in the next several years, few years probably.
I do have that. It was a long time coming.
Yeah, tell me about the decision, when you did it. I kind of want to know.
Sure. So let's say the first, to prep anyone that didn't know, I never had too outlandish of hair growing up in high school. Kept it fairly short. Did the rock the bowl cut probably when I first met Matt. I probably was rocking a bowl cut in seventh grade, sixth, seventh grade. But that by the time I hit high school, I don't know. I had just a normal hairstyle, late 90s, started like gelling up and spiking a little bit in the front. Now,
Yeah,
college,
pretty classic late 90s.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Even went through a bleach blonde phase. That
Oh, you did. You did have a little Slim
yeah,
Shady
I went a
action.
little Slim Shady, like when the real Slim Shady song was like coming out. So, but college, I grew it out. I did go through a phase. Matt, I know, did the same. I got it down one session. I got it down to almost like my shoulders, like certainly past my ears and stuff,
Same.
and kind of like froed it out a little bit. That being said, the hairline was forever creeping backwards. That's real life. And then wore it short. When I went to North Carolina, I decided one time, I'm like, I'm going to shave my head. I just want to see what it's like. So I shaved
Yeah.
my head. Subsequently, I went to the beach and didn't think about the fact that I now have a shaved head, and I got a violent sunburn on my freshly shaven head. And for like a couple days, I had to sleep in a recliner because I couldn't lay down in bed to fall asleep. So I grew my hair back pretty quickly, realized I wasn't made for it. And then just literally about 5-6 months ago, I noticed a photo from a few years ago that was taken from like high up at like a wedding. So a photographer took a picture, and I realized that there was the crown. And then I think I had mentioned previously that the Ring doorbell really started shining down on my crown. And I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. There's nothing I can do. My hair's so thin. Even when I keep it short, there's really not much I can do because it's thin and the hairline's back. So I started using clippers, but the last few days, I mean, I've gone back to I bicked my head, straight razored it this morning, and earlier today on Amazon I was looking at like skull shavers, like 5.
Yeah, I see those all the time.
Yeah, like
they're advertised to me, and I don't know why.
Yeah, well, no, it knows. Big Brother
They
knows.
know.
Big Brother knows.
Once the Friar Tuck starts forming,
yeah,
it's over.
There's no escape. There's no, and like, there used to be Rogaine. We'd always had Rogaine commercials and stuff. That's one thing that has not advanced. I don't know how we haven't had the breakthrough in the technology, but there's no saving grace to it anymore. So I just, I did what is, what
You did the grown-up thing.
I did the grown-up thing. I embraced it. And I followed in the footsteps of my older brothers, and we are just not people of hair. So to compensate, I grow the beard.
Yeah, and you have a well-shaped head though. The problem with mine, like, I had a girlfriend once, and like several years ago, and I wanted to like shave my head, buzz it, and she did not want me to. She was like, no, and I was like, I just want to give it a go, like check it out. I forgot what my head looks like, and so one day she was like, hey, I can cut your hair, and I was like, no, you can't, but I know that.
That's a terrible.
And you're gonna mess it up, so there's gonna be no other
Is she?
options.
Was she a hairstylist?
Nope, not
then,
trained.
Then that's not something you can just say to people.
No, but I was in for it because I was like, I wanted to buzz my head for a while. I was like, fine, you can do it, but if it doesn't work, and it didn't work, it was like half. I mean, it was like lopsided.
Oh, so you said your move, so that if she screwed it up, the only solution was to get what you wanted as the remedy. Ooh,
that's exactly right.
That's forward thinking, man. That's chess move.
The chess move I didn't see after that was that I have a misshaped head. It's not a good look for me.
Yeah.
So I learned. I had to figure that out. But I'll be in there. I'll be in there soon enough. The other fashion mention here. I'm looking at you on this camera, and I cannot believe what you're wearing on your torso. Look at that top. I'm gonna call it a top. It's a designer top. It's a picture of the DVD cover, the movie poster for The Wizard, which we mentioned last time.
That's correct.
Now I gotta know. So we're gonna talk about The Wizard.
Okay.
I've watched it. Got my thoughts.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, obviously. I mean, if you push me into buying a T-shirt, getting it
So
quick delivered.
no, let me tell you, if
Okay, all right.
as our fate would have it, I did not purchase this shirt.
Mm-hmm.
In Christmas of 2022,
Wow,
weeks ago,
weeks.
my brother gifted this to me. No
Okay.
lie. And then literally you bring up the movie The Wizard. This was Matt can attest that he did not know my brother bought me a shirt for The Wizard. So that's right. Matt chose to bring up The Wizard, a movie from 1989 about Nintendo, not knowing that weeks before I was gifted a t-shirt of the DVD / movie poster cover of The Wizard.
Wow. And so let's just get into it. So we
Sure.
both watched it this week.
Mm-hmm. For those of us,
how do you feel about wearing the T-shirt now, representing the picture on your chest?
I am not a man of religion. I would, however, if I was, I would wear this to church because I'm so proud of this garment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is good. We're going to have our first argument on this pod. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it. It does have highlights. I'll say that. There are a few good things. So if you haven't watched it, it's from 1989. It's essentially, it's supposed to be like, I think the pitch for it was supposed to be like Karate Kid, but for video games. I wouldn't say it's a Karate Kid level.
Let me read the IMDb plot line.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
A boy and his brother run away from home and hitch cross country with help from a girl they meet to compete in the ultimate video game championship.
Right. So his brother, number one, this is my problem with the movie, is the first 45 minutes, you think like he's on the spectrum somewhere. All he can do is build things, and everybody treats him. These are the things that people literally say about him. Oh, he's handicapped. He's a freak. He's stupid. Turns out his twin sister drowned in front of him. He's had PTSD. He just can't like talk to people. They put him in a home, like just because he's crazy. I guess it was of the time, so maybe it's just really accurate. But it's really difficult to watch, and they just I think they just prolong that agony so much on this kid that it's brutal. Turns out though, he's the wizard.
Yeah,
he can play these video games really well.
That's the M. Night Shyamalan twist at the end. Is that turns out he's just upset because he watched his sister drown, his twin sister, and everyone's like, "Oh!" And like some of the parents at the end are like, "Oh, you know what? Do you think do you think one thing's related to the other?" It did kind of start that way. Yeah. Like they're just kind of all like, "Oh, that's weird." The family dynamic is very tough to digest in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Very.
And tough. I would almost give it credit for that because, especially for the late 80s, they did like showcase an awkward family dynamic of like step parents and like half brothers, and you didn't really see that a lot, I think, in the 80s. But he did have the classic stepdad who didn't give a shit.
And played by the guy who's just kind of like an ass in every movie that he's in. But yeah, I mean that was important. So there's
it's basically an hour and a half build up to one of the most breathtaking, awesome scenes. So they're going across the country. Meanwhile, so the parents basically put a hit out on their kids that are lost to find them. They hire a guy named Ludlam or something like that.
Yeah.
He was essentially a child predator.
But like disguised as some sort of like bounty hunter, like Dog the Bounty Hunter, but for minors.
Yeah, for hunting kids.
For hunting children.
And that was the weird combo of like, he's kind of got like Home Alone vibes of like Marv and Harry, but in a movie that's trying to be like Stand By Me. So that's why the hard part for me was like trying to be like, is this supposed to be like a really fun, like feel good Universal movie, or is it supposed to be like Rookie of the Year vibes, Home Alone vibes? And that's the hard. I mean, that's sometimes it made for like some pretty cringy moments. But I would have to say the payoff was great. The photography is great. It's a great road trip picture.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
A lot of great scenes in Utah, Reno.
The big ones, the big hitters.
Yeah, the biggest little town
Yeah.
in the world, or whatever
Right.
they
It's
call
almost
it.
like they couldn't get the rights to use Vegas, so they're like, I guess we'll have it call like we'll have a stop in Reno.
Yeah, they did get the rights to a couple New Kids on the Block songs.
They
That's for
did.
sure.
They did. Hanging Tough was played during the first stop, I think in the bus stop
Yeah,
where we first find out about Jimmy's ability to instinctively play video games.
yeah. Like apparently never played video games ever. Just goes on to Double Dragon within minutes. You got 50,000 on Double Dragon. I've never got 50,000. That's the big reveal there.
You know, that's
He's a savant.
I mean, that's a conveniently round number.
Yeah,
That when Fred Savage was done with his process and dealing with the bus and trying to get bus tickets, that when he pulled them away from the video game, he's like, "You got 50,000 on Double Dragon." Now, anyone worth their weight in Nintendo controllers would know that 99.9% of games, no one gives a shit what your
thank
score
you.
is on a
That's
game.
one of my only
It's
notes
how
that I have
far
written
you
down.
get in the game. No one cares about the score. I can't tell. Mario has a score. I don't know what I've ever scored in Super Mario, and I've played it 7 billion times. No one cares about the score. So the fact that Fred Savage not only sees the score, but like compares it to like as if Fred Savage has either played this game 5,000 times or it's just
Yeah.
general knowledge of how good a good score in Double Dragon is.
Yeah, because it might have been. I mean, it probably did come at the time when, I mean, score was important, like in the 70s when arcade games were
Yes.
coming out originally, like whether it was pinball, Pac Man, like arcade games, score was big. Donkey Kong, it
Right.
was important. But as Nintendo, the entertainment system came along, it became about beating games. Like,
And the storylines.
yeah.
Yeah. And just
So Mario's about, yeah, beating it. Double Dragon's about getting through all the levels. And this game really focuses on the scores. Uh, it's basically a Nintendo advertisement, which is fine.
yeah.
You know, a lot of Zelda references, Ninja Gaiden. What else? I mean, just any
Rad
97
Racer.
NES games.
Lucas, the bad guy who they encounter. The bad guy's just a kid who's also good at video games, not on the spectrum, just really good. He invites them to his house, as one would do if you meet someone else who's about video games and going cross country. So they bring him back to Lucas's unparented house and they hang out on his
Bunch
front
of kids
porch.
hanging out.
Yep, where Lucas says, pick any game you want to play for a contest, for like a bet, for a wager, and we'll play it. He goes, I have all 93 of them or 97 of them. And then
97, yeah.
so they
played 'em
pick
all.
they don't pick, but then they show Lucas powering up his power glove. Now a lot of us
Actually, let's I
please.
actually pulled this up.
Oh, good.
Let me show this. This is one of the highlights of the movie for sure.
Yeah.
It's Power Glove action.
Wow. Why is he so angry?
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
Yeah, well, just keep your power gloves off her, pal, huh?
Stud. Fred Savage
Yeah,
laying down the
that's
law.
That's the best part of the movie for sure. The Power Glove. And it was bad. Like seeing the Power Glove, one of the big highlights of this movie. Even though nobody ever really used it, everybody wanted it.
We
I
owned
remember.
one. The Worden household owned a Power Glove. Now, folks, I looked it up. I did my research. The Power Glove was debuted in November of 1989, which was the year that this movie came out, and it was discontinued in 1990. It cost the equivalent of $153 today, and it was a pile of trash. This game made it look like, oh, if you just act like you're driving a car using the Power Glove, moving your hand to and fro, that would control your racing game. That's not how it worked. Not even a little bit. It took a lot of programming. You had to like move your fingers certain ways. It was a mess, folks. It was anyone who had one or saw one work. If you saw it work in a non-real life setting, it was lying to you. And if you ever saw it in real life and tried using it, you know the absolute frustration. It was a pile of trash.
But that was the appeal for sure. especially as a kid, was seeing just Nintendo action, seeing the Power Glove. Like in my mind,
Yeah.
that sparked the future. I mean, I remember going to Kmart and seeing like Super Mario 3 on a little watch. But it's probably like one of those like Little Mermaid or like Tycho, whatever Tyson, I forgot what they're called, little
The
games that
Konami
you just play
games?
you up
I
and down, left and right.
Okay.
Yeah. But then they had it on a watch and it
Yeah.
was like that was the time that my mind I was like, this is the future. It's never gonna get better than this. A Power Glove and Super Mario on a watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the big reveal too at the end was the North American I think first exposure to Super Mario Brothers 3 was in this movie. We saw it for the first time. They had a big scene. There's Universal Studios. They show up there just in time for a
Like by
video game
seconds.
competition
They
by
went
seconds.
across the country and they showed up.
And by across the country, it means Utah to
Was
California. They
it
make it
Utah?
seem like
Oh yeah,
California's
that's
on
true.
the
They
other side
did
of the
start in
world.
Utah. Okay.
Yeah.
So for those
Yeah.
geographical buffs, Utah
Yeah.
is
They're like, California. Whoa, where's that?
it's
Yeah.
true. They really hype it up as if it's not Utah and it's more
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Ohio. But
Yeah.
anyway, they literally show up within seconds of timing. After all of this movie, they show up within seconds to get Jimmy on the stage for his big debut.
One thing. So in the beginning, when they're kind of ragging on Jimmy for being an idiot and just building things,
Sure.
like
Clown.
this guy builds things and he just wants to express himself. Will you do anything for him? Let's put him in a home. Like, what?
Well,
Yeah, all right. That's how you get treated back then.
yeah,
Free thinker. Yeah.
you bet.
But he's building with like Duplo, Lego blocks or whatever. He's building the scene of that final game. He's got 3 screens on top of that thing that he's building. I never noticed that
What?
before until I watched it this time. I watched it and he was putting like little TVs on the 3 different things when he was in that when the parents were all having that meeting.
Jimmy has ESP.
Yes,
That's
he
the
does.
Shyamalan
You can see the
twist.
future. Yeah.
Oh
Nobody even
my
brings that up.
god! You know,
He's
you might
basically cheating.
you might not be remembering that this is an M. Night Shyamalan movie because it's not. But there is a Shyamalan twist
Yeah.
before M. Night Shyamalan
Yeah.
ever made a movie, which is another twist.
Yeah.
Um,
Of course, he wins because he gets the highest score on Mario 3. You know,
Naturally.
that's how you play it. Yeah.
but he did know that there was a warp whistle when the game was debuted seconds
I know.
before.
Nobody's ever played it.
So yeah. I didn't even know how to, like, when you got the raccoon, when you got the feather, which turned you into a raccoon as per nature, I didn't even know how to fly. Jimmy knew how to fly up into secret areas off the screen, get a warp whistle, how to use the warp whistle, which obviously netted him enough points to win at the end. Oh, because he hit a star at the end of like at the end of the board, as you do in Mario 3 when you're trying to match up to get extra lives. He hit a star, which catapulted his win because points in video games is a thing.
Yeah. I did write down as a note too, things in Corey's bag. So Fred Savage's character, so the older half brother that's escorting Jimmy to Los Angeles, brings a book bag with him and a skateboard, which he doesn't ever ride as a skateboard. Not
No.
once. It was just like
They
the
sit
late
on it
80s. You had to have a
once.
skateboard. They sit on it.
And,
you're
and
right,
ride
yeah.
like right on top. Yep.
But he has a book bag, which what is that? No clothes, apparently. They wear the same clothes the whole time. He does have in there, I noticed, a slingshot. Never uses it, just shows it, has it. A fake spider that he tosses at Haley,
Yes.
his new girlfriend,
Yep.
and a monster mask inside the backpack.
He does have the
That
monster
he just pulls
mask.
out to try to scare her too.
Right. Never.
That's what he's carrying with him on this cross country journey.
Yeah.
I was like, well,
I mean, they're prepubescent, so like maybe they don't smell. They don't need the change of clothes. They don't think they need the change of clothes as much.
yeah, the kiss was awkward as shit. Speaking of prepubescent, he hits on her by saying, "This is like the Legend of Zelda: The Adventures of Link." Link's looking for Zelda, and you're looking for a house.
Right. Which is
That was the line that got him the kiss.
yeah, and it's so true. I mean, why would that not make you think that that's exactly parallel to Legend of Zelda? Folks, also too, we got a big shout out to a longtime fan, Christian Slater, is a big fan of the show.
So cool.
Bo Bridges like my top,
Yeah.
like certainly my third favorite Bridge family.
He's
After
in there, yeah.
Jeff and Lloyd, Bo Bridges, I found out he is 80 years old. He is alive and well.
Is he really
He is
right now? Is that real?
yeah, he's 80 years old. He's 8
No
years
shit.
older than Jeff Bridges, who we see from actual movies that are popular.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, Lloyd Bridges, their father, did pass away, but you may remember him. He played a big role in Airplane, which is a phenomenal comedy of all time.
Yeah.
Um,
I did see trivia that both Bo Bridges and Christian Slater were not into video games before filming started, which is obvious when they play. Because
yeah,
again, one of my biggest pet peeves is just somebody show somebody how to use a controller. It's the most basic Nintendo controller here. I don't even know. Do I have? Well, I have an Xbox controller here, but just show somebody how to use it. Like when you don't hold it in the wrong spot and it's just mashing all the buttons. I don't know why. It grinds it grinds my gears a little bit. It's like this is a video game movie, Nintendo.
yeah,
Bo Bridges is playing, or they hook up a Nintendo at the truck stop where the truck's broken
Yeah.
down. It's like, oh, you just hook it up. It's like, yeah, I'm just playing games here. Just real easy. Just easy. Like he leaves a Nintendo in the back of the truck.
sure,
Just come on. Unbelievable. You're killing me. You're killing me.
right. It's so right. So as Matt said, it's a fantastic movie. It's
Yeah, it's
one of
really
the
good.
greats.
It's really good. The
Dude,
ending is so like, yeah, the video game scene.
It's so. It also was the gateway drug for Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire's first star in movies. He's one of the cronies of Lucas, our aforementioned bad guy. He's one of
That's
his little
right. Oh,
buddies. He
man.
doesn't have any speaking lines, but he does have a killer haircut. I don't know, man. I think it stands the test of time.
I would say I probably won't watch it again for another 5 years until I forget about it.
It's amazing. I own the DVD and now I own the T-shirt.
I'll tell you
And
what,
if
I'd
there
rather
are-
own the T-shirt than the DVD. That's my verdict.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
That's like someone wearing a Yankees hat and then they're like, "Oh, I don't really like baseball." No, you don't get to wear the shirt. You besmirch the name of the Wizard. You don't get to wear the shirt. I get to wear the shirt. I sing its praises because someone's going to be like, "Oh man, I love that movie." And you're like, "Yeah, I'm not a big fan." So you're just a jerk in a shirt. Don't do that.
It's not a movie that I would make a new girlfriend watch and just stare at her. That's for sure. I wouldn't put it in that class.
Listen,
Maybe that's a
That's
vaulted
true.
class. Maybe that's too.
That's-
That's elevating it.
Yeah,
The
that's-
watch your girlfriend awkwardly
yeah.
watch a movie.
I
that you
did
really
that
like.
with Bill and Ted, and it did not go well at all.
No.
And I thought that was a sure.
Yeah.
I thought that was a surefire thing. Evidently, it is not. Evidently, Bill and Ted might be in the same category where it's like maybe my brain loves it way more than the actual movie it is. But that's for another. That's for another episode.
Yeah, you got to like revisit those, especially if it's somebody new you're dating or something like that. Which is, I mean,
You know what?
not for you now,
It
but-
might be a nostalgia thing. That's the thing is nostalgia. It skews our opinions on stuff. We
Mhm.
think of the time that we were when we experienced that song, that band, that movie, and we equate it to that. So a lot of our video gaming, we equate it to times when there was nothing better at that time in our lives than doing a sleepover and playing the video game. But you might go back and play that video game and you're like, this video game's stupid. How did I play this for hours and hours on end? I don't know, man.
It's fair. And that's what it was for me. Is the nostalgia factor. This movie, I remember seeing Super Mario 3. The clothes seemed cool. The Power Glove seemed cool. The music seemed cool. I mean, it's great. I mean, if it could be like an hour 20, I would be more into it.
What was runtime? Like 1 hour and 45?
140. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
it's a long kids movie. I'll say
It
that.
is. That is. That's hard to
Yeah.
keep a kid's attention or a 40-year-old man's attention. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, kudos to you, sir.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it. You got the shirt. Not going to argue with you. we'll just leave it. We'll leave it.
It's best
right?
you do. It's
We'll say you win this one for whatever that. I don't know what it counts.
Perfect.
We'll say you win. You like it. I don't like it so much. You win.
All right. All right. Put in the comments.
Let us
Throw in
know.
the
Hey, comment
comments.
section.
Let us
Comment
know what
section,
you
yeah.
thought. Let us
Yeah.
know comment section what you thought. Put in your favorite scene, your favorite character, your favorite actor. Please let us know. Your input matters.
Let's do a hot wreck. Let's switch it up.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of people were talking about our wrecks in the comment section from last episode.
Yeah.
Do you have one for this week?
Oh man, what can I go with?
I mean, it's really for me. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, what in your life? I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
So last week you recommended the Bad Religion book. I didn't read the book
Good
yet,
start.
but I did listen to Spotify this week, Bad Religion.
Nice.
Into it. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, I listened to it in the car. Great car music. Like, I'm actually trying to go through the catalog right now, but it's definitely my vibe. Like, I think I said it last week. The Offspring, Pennywise vibes, like just really like melodic punk, great anthemic shit.
Yeah.
I didn't get deep into the lyrics. I mean, you can tell. I mean, it's a lot of it's political, a lot of like social stuff, but just his voice, singing voice, all that, my vibe for sure.
Mhm.
So hot wreck. We'll file that under fire.
Okay. Okay.
Speaking of that, as you're thinking, I work with this girl I work with. She's like 20 years old. She's a cashier. One day she says everything's fire or asks. So one day within 15 minutes, we talked about like a few different things as a group, and everything she said was, "That's fire," or that she would say, "Oh, is that fire?" That was like her whole conversation. The whole time was like, "That's fire. Is that fire? Is it fire? That's fire."
How old is this person?
Like 20.
Was it frustrating?
It was a little bit, just because it was so stacked up, the fire, you know?
Right. Like, if nothing else, if it's fine to use that term, but if nothing else, if your vocabulary is so stunted that that's all you can be like, is that fire?
I like fire too. I like saying something's fire, like one thing, but if everything's fire,
Nothing's fire.
then what? Yeah, thank you. Oh my God.
Right. Because fire's not
There it is.
good.
Well, there it is.
Fire's not good. Like, you can't just, it's better than good, right? Like, yeah, you can't be like, oh, that song's fire. No, that's not the tone you take. You go, yo, that song's fire. Like, I'm not a big fan of the word. I feel like I sound like an idiot when I say it,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna say it. But you can.
So that's gonna be my thing now for the hot wrecks section.
Right.
I'm gonna say it's fire or it's not. Okay, so just
Wow.
that's what's on the line.
Jeez. All right.
Yeah.
Listen, something I'm big on, I would say, is, man, that's a good question. You know what's, you know what I'm big on?
What's that?
I like having a plan for meals. Like,
Ooh.
I hate making the decision of what to have for dinner. I'm not a picky eater.
Yeah.
I just hate making a decision. I'm not even complaining about making food. I just hate making a decision. So in this household, we have salads that we buy from the same place every Tuesday. So salad,
Like, you mean like for the week or
no, just for Tuesday night.
Oh, for Tuesday?
For
Okay,
Tuesday night, we
nice.
buy a salad.
Solid Tuesday.
It used to be Taco Tuesdays, but there's a discount for salads at this place on Tuesdays.
Ooh, what a battle.
So we moved Taco Tuesday to Taco Thursday. So earlier today, I had tacos. I do
Delicious.
two tacos my style, some green and like, again, I'm talking making some solid taco meat with your 93.7 meat. And I'm using green chilies. I'm using the shredded lettuce. Got me some Taco Bell hot sauce. Like Taco Bell brand hot sauce in a jar.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I use this new avocado like ranch dressing stuff I found. So like, I make these legit in a low carb wrap, and
Sure.
I make 2 stellar tacos, and I love it because I don't have the stress of planning meal. Like,
so your Tuesdays and Thursdays are locked down.
Stress free.
Okay.
Monday.
What about the other
Monday
5
and
days?
Wednesday, freaking nightmares.
So you just wake up with
But
anxiety.
when the weekend comes, it's different because like it's more of a casual fly by the seat of your pants. But like when you're done with
Yeah.
like when I'm done with the work day and stuff, you want to have something. So like I have to set something in stone, but every week it's having to come up with it and so stressful. It's usually a stress that's taken on like sometime during the day. Sunday, I have the anxiety building, not because work on Monday, but it's because after work, there's a meal to be had and I have no
Yeah.
idea what that's going to be.
So your recommendation is to plan your meals
And
just to avoid the stress of
yeah,
wondering
and to have a
thinking.
couple staples.
Mhm.
To have a couple staples during the
I like
week
that. At least a couple nights a week, something
where
reliable
you don't
that
have
you
to think,
like.
where you don't even have to plan ahead for those. So that's my big
Mhm.
buy-in. Something I never did up until the last couple years.
Hmm. You know what, Jeff? That's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire. I like
It
it.
is.
I like it too because it's not the also because I think there'd be too much pressure on being like every night of the week has to be the thing. So it's like let's get a couple. Let's get 2 to 3 nights where we know what it's going to be, so we don't have to think about it. A couple nights, yeah. I like the weekend. Fuck it.
Yep.
Maybe we'll order out. We'll get Uber Eats. We'll go somewhere.
Mhm.
We'll just be free with it. The other 2 nights, hey, throw a little spark in this relationship. Maybe you'll get some salmon. Who knows? I'll
Right.
stop by. I'll stop by the Long John Silver's on the way home. Get
Play your
some
cards right.
tasty seafood.
Play your cards right. Yeah.
Ooh, I like it. I mean, I like that because I kind of eat the same thing
Mhm.
during the week, but it's only because at Wegmans, like they make like these pre-made meals that are moderately expensive, but for a single guy with no family or kids, it's not that bad, and I like them. So I just grab them. So I end up eating the same thing only because it's habitual now. But I kind of like, I almost want to put in like, okay, well here's the 2 days a week I'm gonna make something. So I'm gonna maybe I'll use the 5 days I'll buy the stuff, but now I'm gonna pick 2 days where I'm gonna get creative with it and not know. So I'm going to
Okay.
reverse your thing, but it's going to work for me. See?
Right, because it's going
Kinda
to make you put in the effort,
Yeah.
branch out, get creative, get weird with it.
Is that fire?
I support that
Is it?
idea.
Is it
That is reasonable and and adult.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All
Yes.
right, good recommendations.
My hot rec. I'm going to show it to you on the screen
Okay.
before I announce it, but
That is a white
it's a white
ball.
circle.
Perfect.
Yeah. It says dicks on it.
I'm a
It's a lacrosse ball.
Oh, okay.
I recommend it, one, if you're a lacrosse enthusiast, but number two,
That's a terrible
if you're
start. I'm
over
not.
the age of 30
Mhm.
and you get sore ever. Some people use a tennis ball. I actually have back here. I got like a foam roller, which is great.
Yeah.
But if you really got like that really just sticky pain, like in that, like for me, it ends up being in the shoulder. You probably get it from sitting at work
Uh-huh.
at the desk, doing that, like particularly like right around the shoulder blades. You put this on the floor, lay down on it. I can put it in the back of the chair right now. Oh man, it's like, oh, it hurts. It hurts so good. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can roll it under your feet. You can put it under your hamstrings, under your butt, in your butt, whatever. It's yours to take.
Yeah.
It's yours to be free with. But for like $3, just go to your local sports store. I guarantee it'll change your life. Even if it's just not if you don't have a pain.
Yeah.
Just at night. If you're just sitting there watching TV,
Okay.
roll it like you got a headache. Just put it there. Put it there. Do a little magic. Boom.
So it's SNL's
So
Super
good.
Happy Fun Ball. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
So it's a ball, but
highly
look at all the
recommend.
things you could do. Okay.
I mean, I'll throw it into the category of, the foam roller too. I don't know if you have one of those, but anything you could lay out on stretch on.
I don't.
especially.
However, I have used them. I have used a foam roller, and I do support that. I'm terrible at stretching. I'd probably be in a lot less pain exercising if I did stretch properly. I don't. So I should. That's probably a great recommendation because it's something I know I should do.
Hydrating and stretching.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay
for guys
with
our
hydrating.
age.
I'm okay with hydrating.
Yeah.
I'm bad at stretching.
Yeah. I'm on a, you know what? I'll save it for a later rec.
Yeah.
I'll just slide it in here as a tease. Coconut water. It's another one. I'll save it for another like full on expansion of hydration.
Please do.
But coconut water and stretching. Yeah, I don't want to just.
Right.
It would take another hour. We just don't
At
have the time.
least that's
Yeah.
actually going to be a 4-parter
Yeah.
miniseries, Coconut
Yeah.
Water and the adventures around it.
But yeah, I recommend it.
Okay. Okay.
Lacrosse ball, because it's really intense. It's like, I mean, you lay down on it. It's like that thing where it's like somebody walking on your back. It feels like if you get it in the right spot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But just stress, just life stresses, whatever.
Okay.
It's got you going. You just lay on that. It's like everything just focuses in on that one spot, and you stand up and you're like, "Ooh yeah, let's go,
Like the Macho
let's
Man.
go." Ooh yeah.
There you go.
I would like. I don't know if you want to how you want to do this.
Okay.
Got a few things. Learn some more about you.
Sure.
Whether it's through a story, a question. I don't know. Do you have anything on your mind? Do you have a story? So, do you have anything maybe I don't know about you?
I don't
Or
know
can
how
I
much.
prompt you?
I mean, how much do you know about my back injury that I went through?
I don't. That's actually in my one of my list of questions, because I was always curious about that because looking at you now, and if you're watching the video, you look like a pretty fit dude. I know you run a lot, just because you've told me that. Um, like you're very active, and I remember like I don't even know like 10, 15 years, 20 years ago, like you were struggling to walk at one point.
Yeah.
Like your back was like had you down bad.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was worried about it at some point. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was
Yeah.
like he's gonna have to have like a cane forever or be in a wheelchair. Like this
Things
is
got out
bad.
of hand.
Yeah, tell me.
All
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, if you're willing to share, I'm
Yeah,
down. I
sure.
want to hear about
So,
this. Yeah.
all right. So, this would be situation started in 2006. I would have been at Oswego living in an apartment. Spring break of 2006 came up, and I was supposed to go to Rhode Island with a friend, and I started getting some back pain before, and by the time spring break rolled around, after about 2 weeks, my back pain was really, really bothering me to the point where I'm like, I'm having a really tough time like getting up and walking around and stuff. So I actually canceled my trip to Rhode Island. I finished out the semester, but things just kept feeling worse and worse. And then next thing I know, to be honest with you, by the time like May rolled around, I was like really having troubles. And so I like tell my parents and I'm like, this isn't going away. Like
What were you
something's,
doing day to day? Were you just like popping ibuprofens or something,
yeah,
or how were
probably
you
like
even dealing with it?
Tylenols.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't getting into
Yeah.
anything wild, but just kind of like sitting down when I had to and stuff. So pretty bad sciatic pain. So, pain shooting down from my low back down into my left leg. And so I tell my parents, I'm like, listen, something's really wrong. I get I go to get an MRI. They allow me to get an MRI, and the MRI tech, I remember being like I've never seen something this jacked up. Like I was having a hard time laying in an MRI machine. As you may or may not know, you need to sit, you need to lay still.
It sounds terrible to me. Yeah.
And I was like crying. I'm wincing in pain. I couldn't even sit up in the car. Like I had to sit in the front seat and tilt the seat all the way back so that I could like lay on my side in the
Jeez.
passenger seat.
So at that point, it was like almost emergency status.
Yeah. I never went to the ER for it. As you know, Sharon's a nurse and she's like, listen, if we're taking the
That's
ER,
right, yeah.
like nothing's
Mama Warden.
like nothing's
Yeah.
going to happen. So we avoided a lot of ER trips because Sherbo is a nurse. So anyway, they read the MRI of two severely bulging discs, L4, L5, and L5S1. So lowest of the low on discs in the back. And I basically get an appointment. I have to see a neurologist because
Whoa.
it's nervous system. So I go and they're basically like, listen, we can try to rehab it, or we could talk about fusion of like vertebrae. Basically like, all right, we'll remove the discs and we'll just fuse the vertebrae. Well, mind you, I'm 23 years old. And so I'm like, I don't want to be
Like that's still like sort of new right now.
Yeah.
It feels like, and then like Yeah,
This is
17 years ago. That must have been like brand new.
so pretty scary concept, but I'm like, I'm gonna go. I'm like, if rehab's a thing, let's try to rehab it. So, land therapy was out of the question. I had to start doing water therapy because that was the only way I could handle it with my body weight. So I did a lot of exercising and stuff at the in a pool at a physical therapy location in Oswego, and eventually, when that helped a little bit enough, at the same time for pain management, I got epidurals. And for those of you that don't know, epidurals are long steroid shots that you get for a lot of times back and neck
When you're having
problems.
a baby.
And when you're having a baby, for all of our moms out there.
Yeah.
But yes, I had to do an epidural block. So 3 times I went to a hospital in Syracuse to get an epidural injection, which is scary in itself because they give you a pep talk. They're like, oh, by the way, this, you have to acknowledge that this could paralyze you if the needle, strikes your spinal cord. And if
Oh,
you ever
fuck.
at any point taste metal, let us know because that's a problem and we need to do other things. So like, mind you, psychosomatic, you can be like, do I taste metal right now? I don't know what's happening. Am I tasting copper? Like, so pain management works up till I can upgrade up into land therapy. And I get just well enough that luckily for me, this was all over the summer. And I get well enough that by fall, I can walk enough to like go and get mobile and stay in school. But I was using a cane my entire fall semester of fall of 2006. And sometimes would have to get up, leave class because I had to walk around because my back pain was so bad. But
Damn.
yeah, man, I mean, things left, you keep at it, you keep a home exercise program and stuff. And I got better. I never had to have the surgery. To this day, I haven't had it. There's some lingering effects. I don't do well standing in one spot on like concrete for long times or something that doesn't have any give. So that's the situation. But, you know, my bad habits were bad enough. And then when my back went out, obviously I was really immobile and also got down on the dumps and stuff like that. So my eating habits never improved, things like that. I mean, I got up to a point where probably at my heaviest, I was about 340 pounds. And for those of the viewers that don't know, I'm about 6'1" for height. As you can imagine, not being 8 foot.
Yeah, same here.
As you can imagine, not being 8 feet tall, 340 was not an ideal weight. But right now I'm hovering around 240. And
Damn, you're 6'1"?
yeah.
Man.
And so I'm hoping to get down to like 215, but yeah, I try to do better. I can always do better with eating, but I did eventually pick up about 4 years ago. I picked up trying to be one of those people that's like, I'm going to be a runner. In some context, I want to be someone that's not terrified of running, going faster than walk. And so now I don't run long distances. I do run 5Ks here and there, organized ones, but my normal run for the day is anywhere between 2 and 4 miles. And I keep a decent pace. So I'm proud of where I've come from such a devastating injury that scared the shit out of me for a long time and got me really down on things. It was a really scary situation, but I had some decent support from friends at college.
Not me.
Not,
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I wasn't sharing it
My
really.
bad.
I wasn't sharing
My
it with
bad.
people, man. So yeah, I mean, I got through it, and that's always in my mind when I'm when I don't want to exercise and stuff like that. I always think of how bad it could be if you don't take care of yourself. So if nothing else, folks, take care of yourself. Don't deal with any health situations that you don't have to. Obviously, things happen, but if you have control of things, little by little, you can make progress towards stuff because it's always good to take care of yourself. And right now, I'm probably in a better spot. The last 3 years, I'm probably in a healthier spot, and even physically right now, probably than I have been my entire life. So I'm hoping that with turning 40 soon, hoping my 40s are generally a good health decade, my best health decade, because my 20s were when I was treating my body like a freaking outhouse. Perfect.
I mean, what was? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
ask me
Like, so,
questions. What's
I mean,
up?
was it just like the pain that made you really want to do it? I mean, because I would
The
imagine like the
pain,
mental and emotional toll. Like, was it? Did it feel like a rock bottom or something? Was it like just like I gotta fucking like this is
you'd
it?
think
Like I gotta do
you'd
something or what? I don't know.
the physical pain was bad. Emotional pain helps lead to the weight problem. The weight problem leads to the physical pain, and the physical pain was the worst pain I've ever been in. That
Did
it
you
was
honestly ever
awful.
think you would ever not feel that again?
No,
Like the pain? Did you ever think it would?
make a
Yeah,
recovery.
yeah,
No, I mean there was literally times where I'm like, I guess this what I'm doing now, like.
yeah.
Because that whole summer I couldn't do anything. The most movement I could do when I was at my worst was get up from bed. I could shuffle to the bathroom to go to use the bathroom. I'd shuffle back. I had a couch in my bed in my apartment at Oswego. I'd lay down on the couch because that was a little bit more comfortable than my bed. I'd watch TV all day, and I'd try not to eat or drink really, drinking especially because I didn't want to have to make myself go to the bathroom. So I was dehydrating
Oh
myself as
wow.
well because I knew the pain of having to get up to go to the bathroom. So yeah, I mean you literally get caught in this.
Like making micro decisions that affected
Yeah,
like bigger
yeah,
things and bigger things.
yeah. Scary times, dude.
Wow.
Yeah. So for about 3 months of my life, I'm like, I don't know what's next.
Yeah, I sort of remember the cane in your life. I don't know, it must have come home or something at one point.
Maybe.
I remember seeing you have it, but I remember worrying. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't. I mean, I've seen you over the years. Like, um, I mean, you could outrun me for sure. I mean, like running, especially too, because it's like running is like it's not being on like an elliptical or like going for
Yeah.
walks or like lifting weights. Like that's like putting serious like pressure on like your joints and your back and all that shit
And
too.
that's the wild thing is that it hasn't disrupted it hasn't been a big cause of like any further sciatica or anything. And obviously that type of impact, certainly when I started losing the weight, the elliptical was a much easier thing.
Yeah,
Less,
I like the
less,
elliptical.
less pressure on your back, less pressure on your knees. But surprisingly enough, I'm able to run at a decent pace.
Dude. Well,
Hey,
congrats. Yeah,
thanks.
you look good. You look svelte.
Thanks.
That's what makes that head look so good. You got the bald head of a
Uh,
runner.
you have the bald head of a runner. That's one of the best compliments anyone's ever paid.
Can't believe through all that shit you went through, you still like the wizard. It's like
Wow. Well, maybe that's my inspirational story. Maybe I was feeling the power of Jimmy Woods when people
Mhm.
thought Jimmy Woods
Maybe.
was
Yeah.
broken, but
You wanted to
he simply experienced
outrun.
trauma. What if someone
Yeah.
saw my fat, dilapidated body with a back pain and they said, "Well, we better put him in a home because
Oh
this
man.
one's broken." But
Yeah.
they
He's
didn't.
a freak.
But they
Yeah.
didn't. I won the video game Armageddon and lost weight. The end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. Dude, that's awesome. Good
Yeah.
story. I thought I was gonna have to wait like 15 episodes to like
Ah, man.
to ask about that,
Um,
but not that I would have to wait. But
sure.
it's like when it's just, we're just gonna nail it right away. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. This is how things work. You just talk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're basically again we said 3 conversations in 3 weeks. Whew, man, this is
Yeah.
fire,
It's not,
man.
that's too much.
Yeah,
You say that too often now. You've
dude, I know.
literally brought that up because you thought the girl brought it up too often, and now you're cheapening
I
it with
know. I know.
every use. So what do you got for me? What's something? How many back problems did you have? I don't know what the
Um,
segue is to this.
I can say, I mean, I would say over the last decade, I've had growing problems with anxiety. That's a big thing.
Okay.
Like sometimes, like severe enough panic attacks to have to call people in the middle of the night, parents, friends, other things like
Mm-hmm.
that, like being awake. I'm still working on it. Like I do like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy now to work on it, but it still takes time. I mean, breathing exercises, stuff like that, stuff I never would have envisioned. Like it's so silly because I remember when I was in high school or whatever, or college, like you have so much confidence, so much stupid confidence in what you're doing. I did anyway. I'm not saying you. I mean, I did, and uh, and then all of a sudden you realize the world, I don't know, whatever, for whatever reasons, things don't go the way you want to. You experience new things, you see different parts of the world, or you explore different parts of yourself, have different relationships, and it's like, okay, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. So it kind of goes in phases here and there. Um, Probably one of the worst. This was, I mean, this is a fun story, but one of the worst panic attacks I ever had was I'm gonna put 50% of it on being stoned,
Okay.
because that doesn't help. I mean, that was part of my life for a little while. Like, I mean, I barely do it now, if at all. But like, I would say for a good, probably when I was late college into late to early 20s, I would frequently smoke here and there. But it was
Did you say
just
late to
casual, like
early
never really did
20s?
anything. What's
You
that?
just said from late college to late to early 20s.
I tell you, I'm not. I promise, I'm not stoned right now. I swear, I'm not. No, but so yeah, I'd say late college and then into maybe early 30s here
Okay.
and there, but more than. But I remember, it just. I mean, it like for some. I mean, that's the science. Is like the more you like, you could be prone to panic attacks. But I think it was always in me. It was always like building. It might be in my family DNA and genetics and stuff like that, and just growing older. And it just. I mean, there's a host of reasons, but I remember being at the Austin City Limits Music Festival, ACL. It's a big festival. It's on at Zilker Park, one of our biggest park in the city. Tons of stages all around. I was watching Paul McCartney. He was playing some Beatles songs and Wings, and his solo shit with my buddy Brett. We were just like chilling in the back of the grass, and all of a sudden there was a bunch of people like coming by, like just walking around,
Uh-huh.
and I was just like, it just was like, mm-mm,
Oh,
nope.
it just all of a sudden just
Mm-mm.
took a turn.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all. So I like sat down on the ground, and I was like, fuck. And it's just like a wave of this, like, I don't know how to describe it to people. I think people either know it or they don't, but it feels like your head's in a cloud, or you're surrounded by a bubble, or like you just feel this. And sometimes it's just anxiety. Now it's just you get anxious about being anxious, and just the feeling that it brings you, like racing heart, breathing, that kind of stuff. And I was just like, fuck, I can't do this. So my buddy Brett, I was like, hey, dude, I need you to hold my hand right now. We were just like sitting on the ground. We just held hands. We just held hands there. I was like, yes, yes. And I could just see, I mean, you could even see like people that knew us walking by or whatever, just like, they're like, I knew you guys were gay.
You're like,
You guys were
ah,
living together
you're like,
yeah.
man.
It's like, yeah. It's like, that's okay. Let's do it. We can be gay together right now. Just don't let go of me. I can see this right now. And finally, he was like, I think he brought it up. He's like, just take your shoes off. Just put your feet on the earth. And I did, and it helped. It helped me get me out of it. But it happens from time to time. It still happens. I mean, I would say every 6 months, I'm good. I'm due. I'm due for one. Like just kind of like I've even done. I've called like my dad at 4 a.m. Like to just be like, hey, hey dad, it's Matt. Like,
Right.
that it's just like, but once I start talking, I'm like, okay, I'm good. It's just, I think for me, I don't know, I'm trying to get to it, but I think it comes from a place of not wanting to feel trapped or something. Like it's happened to me driving, and that's the worst. Like literally driving on like I-35 in Austin, like a really busy 5-lane highway, and you just feel it. And I'm in between, I'm in the middle lane, and that's probably why it happens. But I'm like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die right now because I'm gonna pass out. And you just feel this rush of like the blood goes to your head, or the rush, and it's like, this is it. I'm gonna die. And just like I'm looking for an exit and just trying to like blinking
Stay
real quick or
conscious.
turning the AC on, yeah, so I can feel something, like alternating hands, so I can like feel air, like, and it's just like it's like that much where I'm still alive. So and that's kind of the thing you got to work with too, is to be like, well, it hasn't killed me yet. I've survived every other time this has happened,
Oh, that's part of it.
but
That's
yeah,
part
it
of
can
like
be
the
brutal
therapy
though.
of it. You have to go be like,
Yeah.
we didn't die last time. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, yeah. Like, so
Yeah.
have you medicated for it on a prescription basis?
Nope, just self-medicated.
Okay.
That's it.
Now when you
No,
say
I mean, I've considered
when you
doing
say
like,
CBT, are like guided therapy with like a therapist?
yeah, it's like an online thing,
Okay.
like a kind of like just do it. Um, but I probably need. I mean, it's probably worth seeing somebody in person. and doing
I'm
it.
on my like fifth somebody.
Yeah,
So yeah,
nice.
I get it. I
Yeah,
have a little not. I don't have the physical. I don't
dude,
have
nice.
physical symptoms as much as you. Um,
Yeah,
at least not in that style. I'll say. But yeah, I'm an anxious person. The future freaks me out. I used to be more depressed, um, like 10, 15 years
I
ago.
almost long for the days of being depressed
Yeah,
versus like
because I feel
anxious.
like
Yeah,
like on a very surface of things, I feel like a depression is like worrying about the past, and anxiety is worrying about what might happen. And um, yeah, I mean, it's tough, but therapy's there. Therapy's good. Um,
yeah,
and the one of the biggest things it took me a while to realize, but some of the best therapy is going and talking to someone when you're not in a bad spot, when you're
yeah.
not feeling it currently, when you're like, this is I feel good today, I don't have to go to therapy. No, those are the days you go to therapy because you're thinking clearly and you can kind of objectively look at the whole situation and come up with a lot better like plans for how to try to see if there's triggers for you and how so you can talk about plans on how to like try to like cope with those triggers so that the actual attack doesn't happen. So
Hmm. Yeah, I've started to like sort of get into that now, especially with breathing stuff, of like visualizing the triggers and then breathing through it at home, stuff like that.
mhm.
So that when it does happen, or they do that, for this one I use, it's like called catch, check, change. So it's like catch yourself in that moment, um, check to see if the worst thing's going to happen, then change. What are the other options? That kind of thing. And I even like, I've been through so much that I even, sometimes I'm there for like some of the high school kids that work there, the younger kids that are like, I've seen have panic attacks. I'm like, hey, just we'll breathe. Like you survived it, you will. It's weird to like be on the other side of it, having been through it, but know that they're going to be okay because I've been through it.
But it's
But it
almost
doesn't make it easier when you go through it. Yeah.
but at that moment it's nice to be that for someone else because you're like, man, it'd be sweet if I had this
Yeah.
person on my
Yeah.
end when I need it.
That knows exactly what you're
Yeah,
feeling. Yeah.
so there's having a sympathetic ear sometimes is a lot better than an empathetic one. Um and yeah, man, it blows. No one wants to have to feel that way, but I've certainly tried normalizing it for myself. So talking about it now doesn't bother me. I share it with people that want to know. I don't run around and wear it like a badge, but I'm totally fine with sharing it with people when it happens
Yeah.
because I'm like, hiding it is part of a trigger, trying to hide it and stuff. So it's better to just embrace it and be like, well, that's just part of the battle of dealing with it. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't wish that for you, but I'm glad that it's kind of nice to know that you deal with it too. Solidarity in
Dude.
our
Yeah,
jacked up
dude.
situations. But um yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, ultimately, anxiety, what I learned is anxiety is a combination of two things you need. You don't know what's going to happen, but you got to care about it.
yeah,
And those two things come together because if you didn't care, you wouldn't be anxious.
correct.
Or if you knew it was going to happen, but you got to care. So that's something that gets me going too, is at least I care. I want, I do care about what's going on or how I
Yeah.
feel or what's going on in my life. So as long as I got that, it sometimes motivates me too. Be like, I care,
Right.
care a
Oh
little
good.
bit. Yeah.
Good. I still care.
Yeah. Good. I still
Oh
care.
good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still care.
Dude,
So, but what it
look at
is
us.
just it's remembering what do you care about. Like it's good to care, but it's also good to let yourself understand that like I care, but most importantly is let's get through today. Like let's
Yeah.
crush today, not self-sabotage, because that's a big part of anxiety too. Is you got to put the brakes on and not allow yourself to like self-sabotage
Yeah.
and go down.
Yeah. Or learn at doing it and going through it, like a lot of exercise now, just being in it, knowing that it's going to
Yep.
be there and be like, hey, anxiety, here you are.
Yeah.
You're here. You're a part of me
Oh
right
yeah.
now, and I'm going to be with you. You're going to be with me.
Yeah.
We're just going to deal with this
See, I
right
don't
now.
get
You know?
I don't get anxiety attacks or panic attacks.
Yeah.
Mine are more drawn out situations where it could last anywhere from 1 to 5, 6 days. I get
Okay.
long drawn out really bad phases where I get
Do you
where I
medicate?
get withdrawn. Right now I do not do anything medicated
Yeah.
wise. I've run the gamut. on
The
on different stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, like
Probably running's the best
effect-
thing. Literally running.
yeah, it does help.
With the
It does
endorphins of
help.
running, it probably helps a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah. Or consistency.
getting out,
routine.
breathing, cold air, stuff like that. So yeah, it does. It definitely does help. But yeah, I've run the gamut on medications. I'm for them if they work for people, but you can't rely on. It has to be something with therapy. You can't just try the medication. I tried that, just medicate. That doesn't. It's not the road to go down. You got to face it, and the only way to really face it is to try to work on triggers and understanding it and everything like that, and therapy for whatever that means. Working on things like cognitive behavioral therapy, things of that nature. That's the real way to approach it. But if you need the medication to help you along, I'm in full support of that as well if it does the trick.
Dude, I like it. I like it.
Give me a hell yeah.
Oh hell yeah, Stone Cold.
Dude, look at that.
I bet Stone Cold
Look at us
supports mental
gentlemen
health.
of mental health. Wow, we started with the wizard and we ended up on mental health.
Oh
geez,
wow.
Look at us. Wow, we've come full circle.
Uh-huh.
We've probably run this show long enough, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna say if you jumped in on episode 3, congratulations.
that's weird of you to do. I don't know how you only
Yeah.
found out about episode 3.
Well, it's probably somebody's probably tuning in live somewhere right now.
Oh, that's true.
so-
That's a good point because
Yeah.
that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So we want to
Yeah.
remind everyone that you can tune in the station and listen to us live anytime you want.
Somebody probably fell asleep to like Spotify and our podcast accidentally started up after the one they were
Oh.
listening to, and now they're like, we're in their dreams or
Yes.
something like that. You know,
You can hear us and we can hear you, Rick. If their name is Rick, that's really cool. But it doesn't work on
Let's
it
do
doesn't
this.
work on
I-
anyone else. Oh, it's the dice.
I would say we're like in an hour 10 now, which is probably enough. Let's do the dice, but let's start off the next episode with the dice, but let's roll it now.
Roll it
How's
now,
that for
but
a
discuss
teaser?
it at the next
Yes.
one.
So
Okay.
do you have a pen? Do you have a pen and paper? Or do you want me to text
What
you?
do I do with my hands? I will start the text.
So these are going to be, so again, the conversation dice, since it's your first episode, we roll them. It's 3 random words. It's meant to just be on your coffee table, having a little get together, a little steak and wine, a little party. 3 words inspires a story, an idea, some history, something. So we'll draw the words, and we'll start off episode 4 with these 3 words. These words are, I'm not even going to look, I'm going to show them to the camera. I can't
It doesn't
see.
focus well.
No, it's surprise. That one was last time. Canceled.
These are the worst dice ever.
Yeah. All right. Pros and cons.
Okay.
That's 2 words.
Pros and cons.
Mistake.
Of pros and cons of mistakes. Good.
That was like jelly or something. Politics.
All right,
Boy.
this
Are
is-
we gonna get political?
Yeah, we are,
Are we gonna
baby.
get heated?
Come.
Are we gonna get heated?
If you were rooting for this friendship, this is not the episode for you. If you were hoping for something to dismantle, well, guess what? These 2 adults are going to discuss
we're gonna
politics.
start with the pros and cons of political mistakes.
Now, mind you, when we were best friends growing up, we were early teens, and it was during the Clinton administration, aka there was nothing really political to discuss because things were
No.
like hunky dory.
It wasn't.
And
Yeah.
then shit started hitting the fan once 2000
Yeah.
rolled around. So we
Mhm.
have not discussed
That's what it
that
feels like to
stuff.
me anyway. But maybe it was always like
Yeah,
that. I don't
maybe
know.
as adults we didn't know, but as we didn't, there really wasn't topical things happening in the 90s
Yeah.
during the Clinton era for us. So this is going to be interesting. The pros, cons, mistakes, and politics.
Listen, folks. I took a class called Congress as a sophomore in college.
didn't.
I took international relations.
Nope.
And I got a B from Easy B Mike. That's what we called him at Colgate. Just show up, I'll give you a B. Easy B Mike.
That's a great name
That's my
for a professor.
Yeah, Easy B.
That's a great name for
I don't know how much I learned.
my last
I did have a copy of the Federalist Papers. I don't know that I read
my
them, but-
last class was senior year advanced government, which Matt was also in that class. So we can talk about advanced
Mr.
government. Mr. Angier.
Mr. Angier comes into Wegmans still to this day. Dude, is politics fire?
Yeah, you're still not. I don't even. I'm starting to think you don't even know what you want to mean by that word.
I don't know if I do either.
I don't know how this works.
All right.
Adios, turd nuggets.
That's how we do it, folks. Appreciate you hanging in and listening to our dramatic reenactment of two old men talking about lacrosse balls and anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've confused my priorities.